Welcome, everybody. I'd like to welcome you back to another show, another episode of Crypt Rick's I've Been Thinking. And I just want to take this time to thank you all for joining me once again. I really do appreciate each and every one of you that come and check out my channel. They check out my interviews because I think it's so important. I love the guests I get on here. We cover so many important topics, and I just really appreciate that you guys take the time to come and have a listen. And I'm just hoping, it's my goal that the topics that we talk about at least get you thinking, and then in turn maybe get you to start looking a little deeper. And I think that is so important. So I really enjoy doing this. As I said, I appreciate everyone that comes, gives me your feedback. That is such a great thing. So I really do enjoy these interviews. I'm always excited to get my guest on to talk with them. And I have a great guest once again, guys, lined up for you. I did already interview them on my radio show, which turned out to be an amazing interview. Got feedback right away. I got people emailing me and asking me if I was going to get them on again, how soon till I get them on again as a guest, and I had to let people know that I'd be doing this in video format, which we're doing right now. And so my guest has their own YouTube channel. You can find them at LoveTruth&Beauty. You can also find them on the One Great Work Network, and they have some amazing videos. The ones that I just want to point out that first I started watching, they do have a series called Trauma Cage. Part 1 is the mind cage, part 2 is the heart cage, and then part 3 is the body cage. And another video, one of the many that I really do love, is how the Matrix works to keep you asleep. And I think that that is what they are doing to most people. And I think these are great topics. So I want to get them on to have a chat here. So I just want to go ahead and welcome my guest here to my video show, which is awesome. Welcome, Marja West. How are you this today?
I'm really great, Rick. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Very excited, as you can tell, to get you on here. I love your videos. Been watching them for a while now, and I really, every time I see one of your videos pop up in my notifications, I rush right to it to watch it. I think you just do a great job.
Well, thank you, thank you. I'm being myself. I'm being myself. There's nothing fancy on this version of my channel. So I'm just doing a one take wonder
Yeah,
on the iPhone. And you know what? If I fuck it up, it's like it's on. It's
for
down.
sure.
For the sake of posterity. There it is.
Exactly. And what I love too is that people want real in this day and age. At least a lot of the people I talk to, they
Yeah.
love the real aspect of interviews where there's no scripts, there's no, you know, like you're trying to follow a certain pattern. I just like to have conversations with great people that are putting great content out. And it's my hope, as I said at the beginning, that the videos that we do, they at least spark somebody's interest and they look into it a little deeper if they, the subjects that we're talking about, because I think it's so important. And
Yes.
your videos do a great job of that. I like some of your videos because some of them are a little quick, and I like that because people's attention span this day and age is very limited, I find. So
Yes.
these
Yes.
longer interviews
My
kind of,
content tends to be a little dense. So
yeah,
I know that when I first started and on my previous channel, I would go on for an hour, 2 hours, 2.5 hours, and you just lose people.
yeah,
They're like this. Their minds get blown and they can't take in anything.
right,
And this is part of the problem of uh being in the matrix, is that there's too many disruptions, there's too many distractions, your attention gets hijacked like that. And most people are like either on their phones or they're on social media. They're not paying attention to you anyway,
right,
so why bother? And it's
exactly.
it's much easier for me, so I like it.
I do too. I do, and I think it's great. I want to start doing that myself, trying to do maybe a little bit. I love the long form interview like this. I really do, because you can get into deeper conversations, kind of work your way through a conversation to kind of map it out, and then I think that has its advantages too. But I also see the advantage in what you do and a lot of other people do, which they do a little bit of quicker video, hit on a great point, and
Yeah.
then it's quick and it gets to the point. I love that
Yeah.
format. So
Dart in and dart out.
exactly, and that's the way it works. It works. I love it. So before we get talking about the topics I want to cover, can you let people know a little bit about you? Because some of my viewers may not have know who you are, and I would like to get them to hear a little bit about how you
Sure.
got on this journey and a little bit about yourself.
Well, I consider myself to be probably the grandma of what Great Work Network. I don't know how else to describe it because I've been at this since the 70s. I'm in my 60s and I have been a trauma based mind control deactivator since 1987. And
Wow.
so when I have people coming at me, because I don't talk a lot about government as being slavery very much anymore. It's like I was yakking about that in the 70s and 80s. It's like, fuck off. I've moved on because there are other youngsters on the One Great Work Network and a lot of other people who are doing that work. I don't need to repeat myself. I want to handhold people to be able to, uh, inspire them to get their lives together. Because it's not just about discovering the kinds of shitstoms that you've surrounded yourself by and to start questioning reality within the matrix so that you can create your own reality and waltz out of the matrix.
Right.
And that's what I'm all about. So, it's evolved from hand holding survivors of the most egregious of human atrocities to really teaching people how to hone their attention and exit the matrix such that they own their attention well enough to be able to waltz in and out of the matrix so that you make the matrix your bitch basically by being able to do it. And people are like, what does that even mean? And so it takes a while for people to understand what it is that I'm talking about waltzing in and out of the matrix. I mean, I'm not referring to the movie. I mean, the movie alludes to a lot of things, but it also traps people into the fight for the right to be sovereign. And okay, you can do that ad nauseum, but you're just going to be repeating human slavery that's been reenacted again and again and again over the millennia.
Right.
That's not what I'm talking about. That's not the kind of woke that I'm talking about.
Oh, very
I am
good.
talking about owning your attention so that you learn how to wield and mold reality as you see fit, because that's the next frontier.
I agree. I agree. And when I think about how they are hijacking people's attention, and that's kind of funny that you bring this up, Maria, because my last guest that I just did an interview with, I was letting you know before we went live, not live, but before we started recording, that we were talking about how Hollywood is hijacking people's attention and mainstream media, how they're doing that, and it's very
Absolutely.
it's crazy now how short people's attention spans
Yeah.
are and how quickly it can from one topic to the next they can be
Yeah.
diverted. It's just
Yeah.
amazing. Like one day
It,
they're
it
talking
is
about the war. It
insidious.
is. Yes. And so
Yeah.
I love the way you say that to I love the way everybody talks about how to get out of the matrix, and I love the way you come at it from the matrix is here, this is what we're living in, but there's ways to deprogram yourself and get in and out of the matrix.
Yes.
You're the
Absolutely.
only one I hear talking about it this way.
And
I
most people think I'm fucking nuts.
I
So,
think I think
it's like,
it's
I don't care.
yeah, I think it's amazing because it's true, and we've talked about this on the radio show how we are part of this system and we're functioning in this system. It's just what it is. So
Yeah.
how do you I love the way you talk about hacking it and finding your way to how to make it, to work
Yeah.
your way in and out of it. So some of the, as I was saying at the beginning, some of the videos I first found of yours that I really honed in on, loved, was you have the trauma cage and then you break it down into the three parts. The first part is the mind cage. Can you kind of break down what you mean by that
Yes.
for us?
Yes. Yeah. So, in order to understand the nature of trauma, we have to understand the mechanism of the nature of reality, the nature of divine inspiration, because this is how the matrix and the powers that want to be enslave humanity by allowing humanity to forget, absolutely forget, their divinity.
Right.
their true nature of being infinite loving awareness and consciousness, having a human experience, here to move formless into form. So, in order to understand trauma, you have to understand the nature of creativity. What is the nature of creativity? Well, it starts with divine inspiration. It starts with its first interface at the seventh chakra. So, this is the top of the head. And of course, the controllers are not going to want humans to remember their creative beings, let alone allow that download to enter into the top of your seventh chakra. Okay, now from the seventh chakra, you have the inspiration. It drops down into the third eye where you actually see pictures about what it is that you want to create. Then it drops down into the throat center where you can actually start talking about it and describing it. Okay, now when we have these trauma infiltrators happening, one of the first places, like I said, is the top is the seventh chakra. And this is where a lot of demonic possession starts. And the matrix is run by fucking demons.
Yep.
They're not even human. And so when I say this to people, you know, a lot of people, that's it. They hear that, boom, they're gone. They're sound asleep, which makes it easier for the powers that want to be to start controlling the seventh chakra, the sixth, the fifth. So when we're talking about the trauma cage, okay, the mind cage, it is about mind control. You got mind control going, okay?
Mm-hmm.
You not only control the input of the divine, in fact, you could hijack the input of the divine and allow the demonic input to infiltrate from the seventh chakra into the sixth. One of the ways our third eye, our sixth chakra, is blocked from inspiration is how? By blocking any view, any envisionment of anything other than what is possible as per what the matrix tries to tell you, who and what you are, what reality is. Which is why when you mention Hollywood and you mention the media, these are the main perpetrators,
Right.
the main controllers that are being they're the main zombifiers of humanity, in my humble opinion.
Right. I totally agree.
Yeah. And once you start that going, when the mind control has taken over the mind cage, all you got to do is utilize that mind control to control the heart and then control the body through the body cage, and humanity is fucked.
Yep.
Period.
So
I
true.
mean, pardon my French. And that's kind of how it works. And the tricky thing is that there are so many sort of fake trauma people that, oh yeah, I can clear that in an instant. No, they can't. It's not possible. I don't care what people say. When I hear that stuff, and if you hear that stuff, people, run for your lives. That's all I got to say. Because that person, I assure you, is an agent of the powers that want to be. And you're just going to get dumbed down even further. Okay?
Right.
Because if you're going to deactivate trauma, you have to start by being awake. You have to start by owning your attention long enough to know that you are in big shit trouble. And you need to engage people who actually know what they're doing, who actually will do the trauma deactivation outside of the matrix. You can't do it in the matrix. And this is why psychological models do not work.
Okay.
They don't work.
Because that makes a lot of sense. And I like the way that, I love that you touched on that. It starts in your mind, because anything that comes into fruition starts in a thought. It's a thought that they're. So
Yes.
when I think about how you say they attack creativity, that's something I've actually discussed with other people, and it starts at such a young age. And we were kind of talking about this on the show, that they start right in the schooling system, right? They want to start hammering out a child's creativity and their individuality, and getting them used to this matrix system of mind control and of the authority, bowing to authority. They started so young, and I think that you touching on that is so important.
Yeah.
That they're trying to knock. They start at a very young age. This is going on.
Right, right. And then, of course, it not only starts at the young age, because it also starts with our parents.
That's a
Our
great
first
point.
cult is our family of origin, whether or not we were in that family origin or not, or whether it was just infused in us through our quote DNA unquote. And that's a whole other topic
Right.
that I wouldn't even go near that right now, because it's a whole vast talk about a mind effery. There you go, right there.
Right.
Okay, but my point is that unless we were gifted with parents who consciously conceived their children outside of the matrix because they had fully awakened themselves and done the great work to deactivate all their trauma and their programming, unless we have gifted parents who actually did that, we were all born to sleeping zombies. I hate to say it, and I hate to say it that way, but I don't know how else to express it. So I'm just going to be plain about it. You know, our
Right.
parents are zombies, and they make zombie kids. And we each have this opportunity to utilize our traumas, each one of them are triggers. Ooh, can I say that? The word trigger, as gateways to wake the F up
Yep.
again and again and again and again. And of course, New Age BS, New Age bullshit, you know, is fooling people into believing that spiritual awakening, being woke, is a one off event. It isn't.
No.
It's
Yep.
not. Oh my God.
That's so true. And yeah, I like the way that you're so right that if you have parents that are having children and they're not conscious and they're not doing conscious parenting, and then they have a child, the child's already at a loss because they're
Yeah.
just being brought into a system
Yeah.
of control like that. They have parents that
Yeah.
are consciously thinking, then they're put into the schooling system, and you have there's no really chance for the child. They're already behind the eight ball, so they say,
Yeah.
right from the start.
Yeah.
And that's so I think that's so big that people need to realize that
Yeah.
the parents have to start taking some responsibility here and waking themselves, like getting conscious and doing the work on
Yeah.
themselves. And the way that
Yeah.
you bring up trauma, I love too. And there's no quick fix like all of these new age, like you said, bullshit religions that are out there. Quick fix, read this
Yeah.
book. I always tell people you have to start doing the shadow work. That's what I call it, on yourself. This
Yep.
is the key.
That's exactly what it is.
It's the foundation, I think, to what we're talking about. And people just seem to want to run the other way. So,
Yeah.
can you let
Yeah.
people know how important it is to do this work on yourself to get through this trauma? You
Yeah.
have to confront it. You can't wish it away. This
Yeah.
takes work.
Yeah. This is the remembrance of who and what we truly are.
Right.
Okay. And the whole thing is the Matrix doesn't want you to remember. The Matrix wants you to just obey. You know,
That's
obey the
so true.
status quo, not think about anything, get all your information from the boob tube. I mean, it's just like shocking. And then of course, once they do that, you know, because the awakening mechanism within our true nature is constantly poking at us to remember who and what we really are and what we're here to do, which is why in even amidst the most traumatized, there's this beckoning, there's a call, there's this reverb in the background going, yoo-hoo, remember
Remember
who
me?
you are. And so, which is why we start going down rabbit holes, and we start to, you know, like really questioning reality. Is this true? Is this really true? I remember as a child, you know, and I grew up in a very, very abusive, psychotic household. And, you know, I was up shit creek. And the thing that saved me was I pretended I was a fairy. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I altered my reality in such a way. And did I escape? Oh, hell yeah. I had to escape. Because if I didn't, I probably would be dead if I didn't escape through my own imagination. So I always clung to my imagination because I knew, you know what? My true nature, I'm a happy girl. These unhappy people watching the boob tube. One of my earliest memories is watching my family being mesmerized by something on the boob tube that was very, very intense and very sad, very trauma inducing. And I went around, the back of it. I fucking pulled the plug. It's like, it made sense to me. It's like, why watch it? If it's gonna upset you, why do it? And I was probably, I don't know, a year and a half, 2 years old, because there are these clues that each of us receive, and you just have to tune in. You have to tune in and listen, and you have to have the audacity and the courage. Okay, the courage, the connection to your heart that, you know what, something is off here.
Yes.
Something is majorly off. I don't buy this shit.
That's so true.
You know, and
Yeah,
you're gonna
you're
have a
right.
lot of enemies. Your family's not gonna like you. Oh well. People are not gonna like you. The school's not gonna like you because they want obedient, stupid, dumbed down people.
That's so true. So true. And if you like where you were saying, it's so powerful what you're saying because it's just the heart of the matter, I think, that people are just in this state and
Yeah.
they don't want to do that work on themselves. And I think and I tell people that's what all this distraction is here for. It's
Yeah.
all here to make you look right when you should be looking left or not looking in on yourself. So they just
Right.
have all this distraction. You got they're pumping fear at you with the mainstream media. Then they got
Right.
TV, they got music, they got it's
Yeah. Yeah.
endless.
And and that's the whole thing is that we humans in the matrix, we're just receptacles. We're just receivers. That's it.
Yep.
Whereas if we were embodied in our true nature, we are receivers and we're also transmitters. Okay. We're here to create formless into form in our own special way. And, one of the things that I find just really just so unbelievably evil within the matrix is the weaponizing of woundology, where the way it is now, and I get into a lot of trouble, people actually get pissed if you actually heal your traumas because they see that as an affront to those who are still in their traumas. I mean, can you believe that? I mean, I've been accused of that where I'm insensitive to, people who are still victims. And then, of course, our victim consciousness, our woundologies, are being weaponized in such a way that if you're still a victim, you can be rewarded for it. Oh
That's
my God. And
yep.
it just blows my mind. And this
Wow.
is poop culture. Okay. We're so offended. Oh God, I'm so offended. And I just, oh, like, stop, people.
Right. And it's so true, Mario, because people do get so offended now that they look for things to get offended about, which is crazy to me. And
Yeah.
then the way that they're
Yeah.
changing the main meaning of words, so now people are
Yes.
even scared to even talk. Like people don't even want to start talking out anymore because
Yeah.
who knows they're going to get offended. And you got
Yeah.
to people have to start getting some courage like you said and speaking. And
Absolutely.
not enough people are doing that. And so great points that you're making. I think that that is so it starts in the mind for sure and they've definitely mind controlling and doing a great job at it from what I can see. The distractions are working,
Right. Yeah.
and
And if it's not a distraction, it's some kind of divide and
oh,
conquer.
for sure, right?
And let's just divvy it up. And this is the whole point. The powers that want to be in the matrix, they want this shit. They want it
Yep,
because they don't have to do anything. They can just sit back and watch us cull each other.
that's
And it's
exactly what we're
entertainment.
doing. Yep.
It's entertainment. Rough left, right, center paradigm. I mean, it goes on and on and on. And of course, now we're in the middle of, Pride Month. It's like, oh, Lord, have mercy. I'm all for anything goes.
Yep.
Okay. But give me a break. Give me a break already.
Yep.
Stop. And it's just another way to like get at each other
And that's
for whatever reason,
yep.
just for shits and giggles because we can.
Yep, and that's what I was talking about that with somebody recently. You're so right that they have everybody fighting with each other and divided. Like everybody's fighting with each other. They each got a side. They won't listen to each other, and they've dug their heels in, and nothing ever kind of moves. That they're just constantly in that state of arguing, thinking
Right.
that they're the right ones. And
Right.
then, so how can anything ever change if you're so dug in and not willing
Yeah.
to at least look at the other side and talk
Yeah.
about it? Like, I think that's what that starts to needs to happen is
Yeah.
conversations, and people are just so dug in. And I agree. I think the powers that are not be, I love the way you say that. They get amusement out of this. I know they do. They probably sit back and just go, look at what we make these people do. Look what
Yeah.
they're
Yeah.
arguing
They're
about.
falling for it.
Yeah.
They're falling for it, which is why I always tell people the moment you get triggered, wake yourself up.
Right.
Find out what it is that you're doing. Who's got your attention? Do you own your attention, or does the Matrix own your attention?
Great
What
point.
shit show owns your attention? What is it? Is it Seven Oinsen? Is it Pride? Is it, more divide and conquer? Is it the Ukraine? Is it whatever it is? I mean, we got an election that's like happening. Oh, God. Like, stop. And I always ask people, what do you want to create for yourself? What? Why don't you get clear on that? Because that is the only way it's going to change, is by everybody being responsible for their layer of the universe.
Right. Very true.
And people say, well, that's so selfish. Well, okay. All right. So I'm selfish. Okay. I'm down with that. I'm down with that. I don't want to suffer the rest of my life. I'm not into it. My life has been a series of majorly amazing things and majorly rough and tumble shit shows. Okay. That is the totality of human experience. And if I can, inspire anything, it's, you have to take full control of your life and you have to create it. Okay. Nobody else can create in your own reality, but you can allow the Matrix to dominate you in terms of hijacking your attention so that its scripts adhere to your life. And that is not the way to go, kids. That's not the way to go. I mean, people will tell me, my life is the shit. All this stuff that's happening, I don't want any of it. Okay. Well, then, what it is that you do want? I don't know. I mean, most people don't even know what they want.
Yeah. So true. And then a lot of people too are so busy their life is going in the shitter. And it keeps happening. They kind of keep pointing the finger out. And at one time I was even guilty of that. I pointed a lot of fingers outwards because things weren't going the way that I wanted. And it was through my shadow work that I realized that if this keeps going on, maybe it's time to start pointing the finger where it should go, at myself.
Yes.
And I think people have to start doing that. You have to start taking responsibility and looking at yourself, asking some hard questions about yourself and being brutally honest. And then that's when things will start to change. But I think people are too busy, as you said earlier, pointing fingers everywhere else but where it should be pointed.
Right. That whole thing, my truth is truer than yours. It's like, oh, God. I mean, I want to float into a coma when I hear that shit, because then and this is what I have found with a lot of groups, and it doesn't matter what kind, a new age group, a goddess entrepreneurial group, an online group of law of attraction, a truth and freedom group. They each turn into its own totalitarian shit show, run by another psycho guru wannabe. So you have to think for yourself. Okay. Now I'm part of One Great Work Network. I'm not a fucking sycophant of any of those people. Okay. I stand on my own. Do I agree with everybody? No, I don't. And they don't agree with me. A lot of them don't even like me. I don't really care. I'm not here to be liked.
No.
Really not. And by the time you get to be my age, you just don't give a shit.
I'm starting to notice that.
Honestly, don't care.
Yep. You start getting to the point where you're like, I don't give a shit anymore what you think.
I don't care.
So true. So, Great points. Thank you so much. I think you broke that down so great. I love it. I really do. And so now let's move on to the next. Let's go ahead and talk about the next cage, because I think
Yeah.
they're
Yeah.
all equally important. The heart
Yeah.
cage.
So the heart cage is really the cage that um, it pulls together heart, mind, body, soul coordination. And without the heart, because our emotions, kids, all right, are are the litmus tests for whether or not you're going in the correct direction for you.
So like our compass.
Yes, true north. You know, your true way of being. However, okay, the way the matrix and the powers that want to be weaponize feelings, and this is where a lot of the divide and conquer stuff happens, especially between the sexes, between the masculine and feminine. Now, in my universe, the masculine is not a man, the feminine is not a woman. It is the animating energies that animates our bodies and brings together heart, mind, body, soul coordination. Okay.
Okay.
And unfortunately, in the matrix, we've got the war of the sexes that divides the masculine and feminine, that divides men and women. And I mean, you know, the drama going on with the 92 plus pronouns. It's like, oh my God, stop.
I know.
Okay.
Yep.
This is where our hearts become really distorted, and you cannot trust your feelings, especially if your heart is being bashed by this program and this mind control and this past life and that past life and this relationship and that relationship. Do you see what happens?
No.
It's a shit show. You can't trust your feelings because the heart has been hijacked by all of the traumas. And this is traumas that are like based on either childhood, your teenage years, adulthood, or even trauma in your lineage. Like I said, the excavation of all these trauma cages, okay, has to first occur in your first cult, which is your family of origin. So you have to examine all of the emotional triggers and the emotional traumas of this heartbreak and that heartbreak, because a lot of us, we carry heartbreaks, we carry emotional traumas from our father's lineage, our mother's lineage. All of that has to be addressed. This is part of the shadow work that you were talking about, you know, and being able to like really understand where all these triggers and mechanisms come from. Okay.
Right.
And most of us just want to we just want to freeze out. Okay. We want to freeze our hearts, or our hearts want to turn to stone, or we don't want to feel, or, we're just so enraged that is the main thing that pumps through our hearts. And so, the heart cage starts with the throat chakra.
Okay.
And then we've got the heart chakra right there in the middle, followed by the power center. Okay. So being able to advocate for ourselves, to tell the truth about what it is that we're feeling, being able to lay down a boundary is so important, So, when it comes to the heart chakra, you're either too wide open or you're not open at all. You're just completely shut down. And then, of course, the power center is where a lot of us get manipulated, in terms of, especially if our heartstrings are being pulled, or there's some kind of emotional baggage having to do with losing power, losing personal power because somebody is emotionally blackmailing you, or withholding love from you, or conditionally loving you. Okay. You're not going to be loved unless you do XYZ, unless you say this. Okay. So you can see how these chakra centers in the heart cage are going to be really overrun by a lot of power manipulation.
Right,
Okay.
right.
So when we're dealing with the power chakra, you're either in your power or you're not. And when you're not, it's most likely that somebody else is manipulating you. This is how the powers that want to be get you to downstep your personal power, because we're either doing it for love or the lack thereof, or we're endeavoring to manipulate somebody to love us. So we overpower them and we become, in and of ourselves, abusers. Okay.
Wow.
So, being a victim is the same as being a perpetrator eventually.
You
And
turn
that's
into it,
one of the
right?
things that I love about the Taoists. The Taoists say that everything will eventually become its opposite. And so we have to, like, really, really check ourselves. So a lot of the work that I do, especially with survivors, a lot of survivors have turned into perpetrators because, I mean, they can't help it. It's a natural inclination to go the complete opposite in order to sort of self validate, especially if you've been a victim and you've had enough. Okay. We have a tendency to go in the opposite direction.
Right. Kind of like I think when just what comes to mind when you say that, Maria, is I think of somebody that in school, say like in middle school, they get bullied a lot, and then they grow up to be a bully.
Yes.
They kind of like I
Yeah.
see what you're saying that they finally they turn into what they hate or
Yeah.
what was
Yeah.
tormenting them, and
Yeah.
I can see how that would take place in sexual abuse, all of these different.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And does it excuse it? No, it does not.
Right.
But I am not condoning becoming an abuser. Not at all. But what I am saying is that in doing the shadow work, in doing the trauma deactivation, all of these have to be witnessed. All of these facets of our psyche have to be excavated. It's not pretty.
Right.
Some of us remain victims, some of us become victims and perpetrators, um, and some of us just never get out of the cycle. And so there is this sort of looping around, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
um, Victim, perpetrator, victim, perpetrator, victim, perpetrator is back and forth and back and forth and back and forth, depending on who you're interacting with. Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Very powerful. Wow. And it's
Yeah.
so true what you're saying. And I think about how the mind controllers of the world that what you're saying about feelings it's so true that
Yeah.
most people are in their feelings all the
Yeah.
time. They're
Yeah.
they're not
Yeah.
consciously thinking, they're reacting in with
Yeah.
feelings. They're not
Yeah.
even and it's very evident when you start seeing it. You're like, wow. People
Yeah.
are just very reactive with they're all in their feelings. It's so right that
Exactly. And and it's not helpful. It really isn't helpful because it's not very how do you describe this? It is weaponized woundology.
right.
It's weaponizing feelings, weaponizing victim consciousness, even weaponizing perpetrator consciousness. Because now, I just got this email from a viewer who was just outraged, completely outraged about the steps being taken to vanilla pedophilia, okay, as being, I mean, they're a marginalized fucking group, apparently.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, oh, dear God, and I have to tell myself, step away from the vehicle, move along, because that fucking shit makes me insane. If you want to see me go off and lose control, there's one way I could lose control. But I have to use it as a trigger to wake my ass up so I don't go ballistic and I don't become a fucking zombie moron having a reaction, because this is one of the ways that the matrix can get me to lose consciousness and fall asleep and start snoozing.
Very
and,
true.
and get me in that divide and conquer. And here's one of the biggest this is huge. If you can do this, okay, you can control your attention. Okay? When it comes to reality creation, regardless of what you believe, whatever your opinion is, if you can get to the place where you start understanding that when it comes to existence, everybody and everything has a right to exist exactly different from you, no matter what.
Okay.
Meaning, even the satanic cabal has every right to exist. Oh, yeah. I don't like it, but they have the right to exist.
The right.
Okay?
Right.
Whether you like it or not. If you can get to that place and not lose your shit and keep your attention and focus in on what kind of universe that you want to create, my hat is off to you, my friend. You got it going on. Okay? Because that is what it's going to take.
Wow.
You can't push up against the evil shit you don't like. Okay? You can't push up against it and destroy it. That's not how it works. You destroy it by creating a different universe based on your values, what it is that you want, allowing everybody else to be themselves and different from you.
Wow.
And I get hated on for that. Whatever.
Yeah, I get what you're saying though.
But that is how it is.
Very true. Wow. That is amazing. That's so true. And I can see why people probably don't like when you say that.
Yeah.
Too, because that's something that they don't want to hear, right?
Yeah. Well, and they want to go to war. Go to war. Have fun. Have fun. You know, keep incarnating and coming back. You know, it's like, I mean, it's your choice. It's your choice. And believe me, there are a lot of fucking things I don't like about the Matrix. Okay.
Right.
I don't like pedophiles. I don't like the cabal. I don't like it. I don't like trafficking. I don't like people profiting by trafficking. I don't like the intricacies of it. I don't like any of it. But it doesn't behoove me to push up against it, because the more you push up against the shit you don't like, you grow it. Right. You are responsible for growing it.
Right. Because you're putting your energy into it, correct?
Exactly.
You're feeding
rather than focusing in on what you want to create and the outcome that you want to materialize. Okay? We each have our own layer of the universe. Yes, we do. Wow. And a lot of people don't want to hear that.
So this is a battle of consciousness.
Absolutely.
And spirituality. Yes, it is. And people, until they realize that, and a lot of people I talk to, they don't believe in. They're like, I don't believe in that. I don't. And then so that's what they have to get to that point where they realize this. Yeah. That's the work.
Yeah. That is the work. Exactly.
Wow. Okay. Gee, moving along. That great stuff. I'm really enjoying this. Wow. Thank you. This is great stuff, Marja. Thank you so much. So let's go to the third part, which is a great one too. As I said, guys, I think all of these are super important. They all feed off of each other and they have to be understood. The body cage. This is a big one for me.
Yeah. So the body cage is huge because the body is the vehicle through which our spiritual creative energy gets animated through. Okay. It is the vehicle through which we move formless into form. And one of the biggest hijackers of the body cage is sex abuse, violence, and the fight for health. Okay. Right. So you have those three aspects. Each of them is violence of its own accord. We have a natural health template. And, the body is absolutely resilient when you don't fuck with it with artificial artificial anything, okay, including artificial thoughts. And most people, because the mind cage has already been taken over, and their hearts have already been taken over, their will has been taken over, okay, the body template succumbs. It succumbs to all sorts of dysfunctions because it's not being directed any longer by the downflow of spiritual energy and the upflow of earth energy. Right. So when you reside mostly in the matrix, I always tell people the world is not the planet. The world is the matrix. The planet is part of the true quantum field, creation field universe. When you reside in the matrix and, you're sitting comatose in front of a TV or a computer or an iPad or media or whatever, okay, you are not conducting life force energy. I hate to say it. It's not happening, okay? Right. And people don't know the difference. And, I've been all over this planet and I have seen just so many beautiful, beautiful, happy people who are not infiltrated by any kind of technology, who are happy as can be and know nothing of TV, know nothing of Hollywood, and like right on. Does that mean that just because you know about Hollywood that you can't be happy? Absolutely not. But my point is that when our body temple is being racked by technology, overrun by, very low frequency, low vibrational, emotional energy, overrun by mind control, and who's minding the store? Very good. You're not minding the store. And quite often what it takes in terms of deactivating trauma in the body cage, it's going to take all three. You're going to need to work with the mind, you're going to need to work with the heart, and you're going to need to work with the body. It's a complete freaking overhaul. Okay? And it's rough. It is not easy because most of us, when the body starts to fail, okay, when the body is so traumatized that it starts to fail of its own, okay, you're in trouble. You are in trouble. And certainly, we've all been gaslighted based on the 7-19. I still can't believe that shit went down. And I watched it. It's like, wow, they're like really just, the gloves are off, man. They're just doing it. Yep. They're doing it. Yep. I mean, it's just kind of amazing. And it's still continuing. And throughout that, and that's just an umbrella. So 7-19, COVID, it's just an umbrella because the other shit that's going on, which is an even bigger umbrella, is still the mind control. It's still all of the trafficking that's going on under our noses. It's all the distortion, that the techno disasters that are like happening to our environment. It's all just fucking teetering. Yep. And for me, I know I have to spend a lot of time, doing the journaling work so that I can get back into center with my thoughts, with my emotions, and with my actions, so that heart, mind, body, soul coordination, okay, is activated. Because this is how we get into trouble. When our souls hopefully are running our show, our lives. But when we start dealing with the trauma cages of the mind, the heart, and the body, you got a lot of very interesting distortions and infiltrations and hijacking happening on those different levels, so that heart, mind, body, soul coordination are no longer possible because the emotions are doing something else, the mind's doing something else, and the body's going, hi,
Yeah.
who wants to take care of me?
Yep.
Oh, heart, and so it's like the languaging, the coordination has to happen, but you've got to excavate each one of these trauma cages. And each one of them have their own various sentinels. And that's what's tricky about trauma-based mind control, is that when you're dealing with all the cages, people say, well, you just have to release the trauma. It's not that simple. And the reason why is because our programming, I mean, some of us are dealing with MK Ultra. That's a whole other ball of
Oh, for
wax.
sure. Yep.
Because what people don't realize with MK Ultra is that there are sentinels that are placed at certain junctures. Okay, so the core of someone is locked here in the middle somewhere. And with trauma-based mind control, there are all these sentinels of all these circular guards.
Okay.
Some of these circular guards will they will trigger a suicide program for the person.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be super careful. I don't know what's in there. I work with people. I have no idea what's in there. I have to step by step by step by step by step address certain things. And I have to be very careful how I address it, because that's the last thing I want to fucking do is trigger a suicide program or trigger a super soldier program.
Right.
Because you don't know what you're dealing with.
Very
So,
true.
the one size fits all trauma deactivation, it's like, oh, please, shut the fuck up. Go away. Just go away, go away, go away. And I get queries from all over the place of all these people going, let's compare notes. Goodbye. I don't even respond.
Right.
Because it's not worthwhile for me to sit there and compare notes. I have nothing to prove, And the thing is that for most of us have not been trafficked. Okay. Most of us have not been MK Ultra'd. So our basic garden variety tribal trauma, okay? Well, I mean, we're talking some universal hits here in terms of the split between the masculine and feminine,
Right.
the split between mom and dad, the split between being and doing, the split between right brain, left brain.
Yep.
Okay.
Very true.
And so by getting down to basics and understanding what it is that you want to create for yourself, and understanding what gets in your way, you have to be courageous enough to look your pain in the face, to look at things that, render your heart absolutely devastated, and look at these things and be very, very honest. I mean, you were talking about brutal honesty, not that long ago. Yeah. And, being honest with our own selves, whew, that is scary.
It is.
It's totally, totally scary. And of course, within the matrix, we have all sorts of buffers, whether they're pharmaceuticals,
I was going to ask you about
recreational
that.
drugs.
Yep.
And believe me, I think there is a time and place for certain assistance with certain pharmaceuticals, but you have to do them consciously and with great intention.
Right. They do have, I say that too. They have a purpose, these psychedelic drugs and that, but they have to be done for the right reasons.
Yeah.
And they have to be done in the right environment and with a clear goal. It can't just be doing it for shits and giggles kind of thing.
Yeah.
That's when I think people get into problems. Like I do.
Yes.
I agree with that totally. And I think they do have they can be very powerful and life changing if done properly.
Yes.
I agree.
Yeah. And they can also really, really screw you up
Yep.
in terms of numbing your pain. We don't want to numb out people.
And do you,
You,
that's why I wanted to ask you, do you
yeah,
think that with all the pharmaceuticals, I see that I've always said they got a pill for everything, but now they're really pushing a lot of these, they have a mental illness for everything, and then they got a medication, and I'm just wondering what your thoughts, do you think that they are wanting to numb, like you said, numb people out? Like, let's give them these medications, it
yeah, I
numbs them
do.
out, and then you don't
I
connect.
I do.
How do you connect with your inner self if you're numb? If
Yeah, you
you're
can't.
barely functioning, you
You
can't.
you cannot. You can't do it. And it is really unfortunate. And uh, I think more and more doctors are becoming more conscious about what it is that they are doing.
Okay.
Um, so I have hope in that respect. But for the most part, no, the big pharma, they want to dumb people down.
Right. Easier to
Just take a
control.
pill. Take a pill. You don't have to be responsible for what you eat, what you think, your feel. You don't have to be you don't have to be responsible for your emotional countenance. It's a fucking free for all. Yeah, it's not a good model. I don't believe in it. Do I think some of it is good? I do. But like I said, it has to be done with great intention and great consciousness.
Right.
And for the most part, I just don't see that in the medical model community. I
It's
just
just
don't see
it's
it.
just being true. We're being honest, right? When you
Yeah.
don't see it, so I totally agree. Now, what I was like, I think about, I like to look out at what I see around me, and what I've seen over the years for a long time now is this people, this push to disconnect people. Firstly from themselves, which we just discussed, but then I think about how they are trying to push people away from nature and
Yes.
connecting with nature. And I think that for me, that's so important. That for me, that's my center. Going out in my yard, I like going out barefoot, being in the grass, in the dirt, and working with my gardens. And that for me, and that's my center. That and music are actually my two things I use to center.
Yeah.
And I just think that that's so important that people need to ground themselves and get back to nature. Do you see a push like I do for breaking people off of that, like from nature?
Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, the push to be in cities, the push to be in cars, the push to be on social media, on our devices. It's annoying. It's
Yeah.
really annoying. It's so funny. I just did a video on the verbal abuse of the Siri and the Alexa. It's like I see people having more conversations with Siri and Alexa than they do their own significant others and their children. That's
Wow.
messed up. That
That
is so
is.
messed up. I can't even. I don't have that shit in my house. You know. And funnily enough, I'm with someone where there's just this constant bickering with Alexa, and I just roll my eyes like, oh man, that is not sustainable. And I live in the high desert mountains, so for me, I'm out hiking. I'm in the elements. I'm in the weather. I'm with the critters, and it's important for me just because I need the balance. I need the balance. I need nature. I need to be out in the elements. I listen to people all day long. It's not sustainable for me. I mean, sometimes I really feel like hanging up on people
Right.
where it's like I can't take it. If I hear one more shitty story about shitty human behavior, I'm gonna lose it. So for
Yeah.
me, being out in nature is important. And in my house, I have, almost 300
I was
plants.
gonna say you have beautiful plants behind you. Wow.
Yeah,
It's
this is
amazing.
just my office, and the rest of it, it's a jungle.
That's amazing. It's so true. And I find too what I love about nature, Maria, is when I go outside and you're away from social media, you put your device down. God forbid you sit down and
Yeah,
just be quiet with yourself. I think that's
yeah,
so important. And then it seems that when you disconnect and you just get out in nature, everything's fine.
Yeah.
Like it's
Yeah.
not like this what they're putting out in the media or they're putting
No,
out and
not at
pumping
all.
it. It's nothing like that when you're out
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. 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 The world is not the media, kids. And I tell people, get out and travel. Seriously. Get
Right.
out and travel. See the planet. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful planet.
Get out of your house. Like they're trying to push people into their houses. Over the last couple of years, I mean, I know you've seen it too, where they just want to herd people into the house. Stay 6 feet apart, don't talk. Fear, like, and it's once again like we were talking. It's all that fear. Like stay in your
Oh,
house, don't go
God.
around people, don't talk to people.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
just and people go along with it. And I just see them really pushing, like I was saying, to keep people from connecting with each other, well, themselves. I always say yourself first, then connecting with other people, and then with nature.
Yeah.
And they're
Yeah.
trying to sever that and doing a great job, from what I can tell.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm generally a hermit. I mean, as a writer, I need alone time.
Right.
But, I'm one of those touchy-feely girls. I'm hugging everybody. I'm hugging everybody. I'm kissing everybody. This is how I am.
Yep.
I'm just kind of like, I'm just a touchy-feely kind of girl. And so, yeah, it was a big dragon. People are like, they're just
Yeah.
like, you see people backing the fuck up. It's like, wow. And yeah,
It's so unnatural too.
it is very
And
unnatural.
yeah, and then I think about how people are still fighting to wear a mask, and they're still wearing them, and I'm just like, this is such an unnatural
Yeah.
way to live. That I
Well, you're gonna love this because when this happens, I'm surprised it still happens. So I was recently on a Zoom call, doing my thing with a bunch of women's groups, and I'll be damned if here I am with another group and people are wearing masks on a Zoom call. It's like,
wow.
God,
Oh my God.
people, stop it. Really? Like,
I don't even know what
wow.
this. I don't even know what to say to that one. I just
It's just like it's just like 50 shades of moron. Like, wow. Come on. Come on. Come on. Okay.
wow.
Stop it. I can't take it. I can't. I mean, that's the kind of shit where I just get like blown away. Like, wowie. That the
Yep.
fear is just it's just set up. And I remember when the whole COVID thing started happening. I remember I got requests from some viewers. Would you do a video with a mask on? It's like, honey, there's no way. There's no photos of me with a mask on ever, and I won't have one on a video. It's like, what's your deal? Like,
Yep.
people on Facebook with their masks on, like it's some kind of badge. It's weird. It's just twisted.
Yeah, I knew we were in trouble
Yeah.
when I started seeing designer masks where people had like names or logos and pictures on their mask. I was like, we're
My
in trouble
God.
because they're going to normalize this now. It's
Yeah.
like it becoming
Yeah.
like a fashion thing. I can't believe I'm
Yeah.
saying this, but it's true.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Well, I think it's very, very sad because I know I got an email from someone, a viewer, who was asking for help with her daughter, who is what, 2.5, going on 3, and so of course, uh, with the lockdown softening, etc. Now the masks are off. Now I did. It wasn't really clear whether they were masking in the house. I don't know, but the little girl was freaked out because, she's been used to seeing mommy and daddy masked up, and now the masks are gone, and it's like, what?
very true.
That just, I mean, wow.
Yep. I think about the damage that's doing. Like it has done over a
Yeah.
couple of
Yeah.
years to the young children, seeing that, like you just said, and then all of a
Yeah.
sudden that there's no mask. Like we're
Yeah.
going to see damage from this. We are seeing damage from this,
Wow. Yeah.
and it's just
I mean, that's
incredible.
pretty unbelievable. I mean, if something hadn't even crossed my mind,
Wow.
but yeah, apparently it's something that parents are they're battling with that.
Right.
And so,
Yeah, that's a tough one too, for sure. So I think a good way to wrap it up, I don't want to keep you too long because I know that you're busy. Um, what, so we've talked about the matrix, we've talked about the mind cage, the heart cage and the body cage. How do people start to get out of this? I love the way you say hijack the matrix. So I want you to try to explain, if you could
yeah,
explain to people, you can't get out of it, but how do you work within it and start on the path
yeah.
of disconnecting from it, I guess is a good way to put it.
Really, the main way to do it is to watch your attention. Okay. So I talk about the three screens of attention.
Okay.
Okay. It's the outer screen. That's what you're witnessing in the matrix. Okay. Out in public, in the media, on social media. It's whatever's in front of you. That's the outer screen. Then there's also the inner screen. This is shit going on in your head. All of your judgments about the outer screen, about what other people are doing, about what they're not doing, about, is my butt big? Is my butt smaller than hers? All that kind of shit. That's inner screen. Then there's a third screen. The third screen is your attention center. It's right here. And from your awakened attention center, you own your attention, not the matrix in the outer screen, and not the shit going on here on the inner screen. Okay. So one of the first steps for people getting woke, okay, what is woke? It's owning your attention. That's it. Has nothing to do with government being slavery. Has nothing to do with that. Has nothing to do with having more information than other people. Has nothing to do with that shit. It's about owning your attention. So you either own your attention in the center screen, okay, where you can watch the outer screen and witness what's going on in your inner screen, okay? So you either own your attention or the matrix does. End of story. That's it. Wow. It is our natural state to own our attention. But because of the matrix and because of media and all of the distractions and all the various shit shows and all the various divide and conquer mind control programs and all of our concerns and our worries and our judgments about what everybody else is doing, okay, the matrix owns most everyone's attention. And so you have to utilize all your triggers, all of your distractions as gateways to wake up, triggers to wake yourself up. And that is the spiritual practice, which is why spiritual awakening, being woke, being awakened, is not a one-off event, kids. It happens again and again and again and again.
You have to check yourself. Yes.
You got to check yourself.
Yes.
Check yourself. Who owns your attention?
Yeah, I love the video you did. I loved it because you had all your cue cards of all the things that trigger you.
I know, because
and it was like so many, and I'm like, oh my god, that's what it's like. But it's such a powerful video. I wish I remember the name of it because I would put a link for it in the description.
I think it's outing my inner triggers.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's what it is.
I'm gonna have to put a link for that, guys, because I really want you to look at it. But it's you break it down so simply because you're like, let's look at all the things that trigger people, and it was just one after another.
Yeah, and that was just off the top of my head, really, just one afternoon. And there's so much more. I mean, there is so much more. But that's the whole thing, is by utilizing your triggers, utilizing your PTSDs, I call them your pains, traumas, suffering, and dramas, as invitations to wake up and own your attention. Because if any of them own your attention, it's based on something that happened with you in the matrix. Right. Okay? And the moment the matrix owns your attention, you're a sleeping zombie.
Wow,
I do it all the time. I catch myself. I get sucked in to the outer screen. It's like, oh Lord.
It's so true what you're saying, Marja, because and I have to catch myself too, because I remember with the Johnny Depp trial, I ended up clicking on a video, and it was after watching your video. And I'm not even making this up, that I when you said you have to catch yourself, and then I was when you start realizing it, it's such a simple thing, but when somebody kind
Yeah.
of tells you to be aware of it and to catch
Yeah.
yourself, and that it's very powerful. At least it was for me when you explained that. And I remember looking at a Johnny Depp part of the trial, I remember I caught myself. I'm like, why am I watching
Well,
this?
and see, and for me, I didn't even fucking know about it. And this is the thing. The more you practice owning your attention and focusing in on your true creative nature and
Right.
focusing in on the goals and the outcomes that you are creating in your life, all the shit shows in the matrix, you're not even going to attract them anymore. You're not even going to attract them. And in fact, I was on Facebook one time, and somebody asked me, what's your opinion about this? I go, what the fuck's that? What's happening? I don't know. And it'd been going on for weeks. I had no clue. I had no clue. Why? Because I'm focused on something else that's much more important to me. I mean, I don't give two shits about those clowns. I mean, give
Right.
me a break.
Yep.
It's like, who cares?
Yeah,
You know?
I try to, anytime I am using a device, whether it be TV or my phone, I always tell people I'm always trying to watch something that's going to empower me more and educate me
Right
more.
on.
So I'm either watching a presentation, I'm listening to a podcast or a documentary. I'm always because I know that you're not going to get away from technology. It's here. And
Yeah.
I mean, it's so easy now to get good information if you willing to go search for it, and it's right at our fingertips. And I wish people would take advantage of that, because I see a lot of people just wasting time on things that never matter. But
Yeah.
if you want to dig, you
Exactly.
can find good stuff. You just have to be willing to do a little searching and be willing to even take that information in. So
Absolutely.
I think
Yeah,
it's
it's choice. And that is because you own your attention. You know exactly what you're doing from moment to moment. Most people don't even know what the fuck's going on.
that's true.
What are you doing? I don't know.
Yep.
It's so weird. And I start laughing. I just start laughing because it's so ridiculous. And then when I catch my own ass doing it, I'm realizing, girlfriend, oh Lord, So I mean, I have my certain challenges, so to speak.
Right.
So I've had to like unsubscribe from certain things. I'm no longer on certain boards anymore because the material is so upsetting. It will take me 48 hours to recover, and I can't. That's just not the way I want to live my life.
That's a good
You
point
know?
too, right? Like if you
Yeah.
things that upset you that bad, then disconnect from them.
Yeah.
Why keep
Yeah.
feeding into it? And so many people do that.
Yeah.
It's very true.
Yeah. And
Wow.
it's a fine line because people will ask me, well, by ignoring blah 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 blah. Well, yes. But then I've spent my entire life's work
Mm-hmm.
in the middle of that shitstorm. It's enough.
Right.
It's really, really enough. I'm not doing it any good by haranguing and getting all twisted up in knots and consternating over it. I'm much more effective in terms of, uh, inspiring people to really track their lives, track their creativity, track their attention.
Right.
Because once you start doing that and you start, I call it waltzing in and out of the matrix. What's waltzing in and out of the matrix? Is
Good
it your
question.
body? Is it your heart? Is it your mind? No, it's your consciousness.
Yes.
There you
That
go.
that's
And when you
so true.
start doing that, the matrix actually becomes a cooperating component in your life.
Okay.
Imagine that.
Wow. Yeah,
And
so
that's
I
what
can imagine some
makes
people
consciousness
reacting.
powerful.
Yeah, I can imagine people reacting when they hear this. They're going to be like,
Oh,
"What?
sure.
What do you mean the Matrix you can make it work for you? That's not possible."
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
actually.
it
Yeah,
very much is, right. And I love the way you're saying that. That's so powerful. Own your consciousness and what's in like your awareness. Like
yeah,
be aware. Like your attention is what you were saying.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
like what's in. That's so powerful. Like how many people
yeah,
are getting pulled in 1,000 different ways.
yeah, exactly. And 1,000 different ways in the outer screen, or 1,000 different ways in the inner screen. Oh God, you know.
Yeah, it's true. A lot. Imagine,
Yeah,
yeah, because people live in their heads a lot too,
yeah,
and
yeah,
torment themselves. And then
yeah,
I always say it comes back to once again, as we said at the beginning of this, start doing the work on yourself, the hard shadow work on yourself, because that's what you have to deal with. It all comes. I always tell people it always comes back to dealing with learning about yourself and getting
yeah,
honest with yourself. I just keep telling people, for me at least, that was the foundation.
yeah. It's like you have to get right with yourself. You have to understand what your triggers are. You got to understand your values. Live your values.
Hmm.
Question them. Question your thoughts. I mean, I remember when I started really examining my thoughts, I realized, holy fuck, those aren't even my thoughts.
Right.
And we think we're thinking them. It's ridiculous. They're thought balls. You know, they're things. Thoughts are things. And they're like circulating around in the ethers, and you just pick up that shit, and,
Yep.
people don't even know why. I don't even know why I'm thinking that. So it's important to question reality. Is it true? Are these even my thoughts?
Yeah, I thought that I was the same way with like the things I believed. I remember
Yeah,
I would
yeah,
sit there and think, why do I believe this? And then when
yeah,
you really start digging in, half the things that you believe, they've just been put there.
yeah,
It's not stuff
exactly.
you've looked into yourself for yourself. It's not things
Yeah,
you've examined. It's usually something that your parents or somebody, a friend told you, or you heard it on social media,
right,
and it gets
right.
lodged in there, and then you start. It's so normal, you think it's yours, and
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
they're good at what they do. I
They're very, very, very good, very astute. And what people have to understand, the powers that want to be, they understand the laws of the universe. They
yep.
understand the law of attraction. They understand how to manipulate people
Mm-hmm.
emotionally and mentally and physically.
Right.
They are masters at manipulation. Don't fall for it.
Yep. Yep,
Don't fall for it.
in my every time I talk about I call them dark psychologist because that's exactly what I say we're up against.
Yeah,
They know the human brain, they know humanity, how people are going to react so well
yeah,
that they just play people.
yeah,
And I love what you
exactly.
said. They do it. I think a lot of it is just to see if they can get away with it, if we'll fall for it. I think it's a big game to them in a lot of senses, just to
Yeah,
see what they can get away with.
yeah, absolutely.
Wow, very powerful stuff, but great stuff. Thank you so much for being here. I want to give you the floor,
You're
Maria, for
welcome.
the last few minutes. Just let everybody know where they can find your work or what you're working on. The floor is yours for the next couple minutes.
So let's see, what am I working on? I'm working on videos. I'm working on a three book
Really
single
nice.
volume of all three of my books. So that's one of the things that I'm working on.
What
Um,
do you have? You have three books right now.
well, I have two versions of the first book, and then I have a third edition that I've just completed with book two and book three.
Okay.
And I'm gonna do it in one volume because the publishing world is another shit show,
Okay.
and I'm just gonna do it myself as per usual
Right. That's the way to
because
do
it's
it.
kind of fun like that.
Can
So
people get your first two books now? Is there a place they can get them?
yes. So I think I gave you my link tree. So if you scroll down, there are the links to Amazon, or you can actually write me and email me if you want a signed copy, and I
Oh,
would be happy
you know I'm
to.
going to ask for one. You know I'm already warning you. I'm going to be asking
I
for a signed
I'd
copy.
be I'd be happy to like do that. Um, but I just keeping up with my two videos per week. Um, I'm working on a course that I'm going to be offering to the general public called Spiritual Kung Fu, and it's going to start with the white belt sessions. And what I'm endeavoring to do, I'm endeavoring to share everything that I'm all about from the ground up, because everything that I share has a foundation. And from the foundation, we can go higher and higher and higher and higher. And you can't skip steps.
Right.
And so we're going to start with the white belt sessions, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So we're cooking that up. And find me on my website, LoveTruth&Beauty.com. And I've got a free training for everyone who opts in. I don't send out a lot of newsletters. I fucking hate newsletters. I hate them. I really don't like it. Because I know when I get bombarded, I will unsubscribe. That's just how I am. I don't like it. I don't like to bother people. But at the same time, I do like to keep in touch. I like to keep in touch with a good, salty sense of scathing humor. You can find me on the Facebook, Instagram. I haven't posted on Instagram for the last couple of months. I love it. I love it so much. And it's still there. It's a placeholder.
One Great Work Network.
And One Great Work Network.
Yep.
And you can find my trauma cage videos on there. I haven't uploaded there for a while. I have a backlog of stuff. I'm trying to just really direct people to come back to my website, because
cool.
At the end of the day, it's all about my SEO.
Right.
There it is. I just said it. Okay. I said it. It's all about my SEO. And, coming back to my content, my YouTube channel is Love, Truth, and Beauty. And holy moly, I didn't realize that we just went over 4,000 subscribers, which to me is like, what?
I know, that's incredible.
That's hysterical because, for a long time, I literally sat at 300 subscribers for a long time. And I'm just going, because I've been kind of naughty and I've had my other channel deplatformed, and I'm thinking, oh shit, they know it's me.
Yeah.
No, it's me. They're watching me, and I've had a couple of strikes, but I had those strikes lifted at the beginning of the year, which was weird. It's like, wow, that's really crazy.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So that's kind of fun. And I'm just, you know what? We'll see how long we can ride this one out, because every now and again I'll say something and I'm in trouble. I'll get a warning, or the video will get taken down, whatever.
Right. Yeah, I know. The censoring is getting awful.
And, yeah.
It's crazy. I know so many content creators that their videos are getting pulled, even videos that have been on their channel for 5 years.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden they'll get 3 strikes.
They're going back.
Yep.
Yeah, it's very strange. I know Facebook is doing that. I've had a few posts from 2014 taken down. It's like, what took you so long?
Wow, yeah, it's getting so bad. It's so bad to get any good information out there. But you got to keep trucking. You got to keep going at it.
Yeah, I don't care. So one of the things that I'm trying to do is I'm endeavoring to hop onto the social media pendulum, and this is about allowing the Matrix to be your bitch. So I was pushing up against social media. Fuck it, I'm not gonna see, and then all of a sudden I realized, no, wait. I can hop on the Facebook pendulum and the Instagram pendulum and ride that for a while and see what happens. And with Instagram, it did start working, and it was really great because I was uploading a lot of my videos on IGTV, and I'm lucky if I get 1,000 hits on a video nowadays. On IGTV, I was getting 5,000, 8,000, 12,000 hits on my IGTV. I'm going, what happened? And then, of course, what happens is that you start getting cloned. And so there were all these fake accounts And Instagram decided, yeah, you're not important. We're not going to verify you. We don't give a shit.
Right.
I went, okay, fine, bye.
But
So I haven't been back. And I'm not going to come back. It's like, I just don't care. It doesn't matter.
yeah, you did a
Uh,
video recently where you're saying that you're done with Instagram.
I'm done. I like it. I
Yep.
like it. It's still there. Um, whatever. But I'm just not posting.
Right. Yeah, it's still there. If you ever want to go back to it,
Yeah.
it's
So
there.
there's a
Yeah.
lot of IGTV there, kids. If you don't want to be on the YouTube, because a lot of people don't want to do YouTube, they need a Gmail. They don't want to do it.
Yep.
So you can find them on IGTV, and I'm also on BitChute and Library, Odyssey, and Float.
Wow, you're on everything.
Yeah.
That's
So
yeah, that's amazing.
so I insert myself. It's like, oh yeah.
I love it.
Oh my
I
God.
love it. Thank you so much for taking the time
You're
once again.
welcome, Rick. Thank
I
you.
You're very welcome. I love our conversations. I really do. I look forward to them. I every time we schedule one, I'm looking forward to it. I'll make sure I put links for everything that you mentioned and the links that
All
you
right,
sent me.
cool.
I'll put those in the description. So please, people, go and check out her website. She's on the One Great Work Network. I'll put links for everything so you guys can go and see Maria's work. And even on YouTube, if that's where you want to go check it. I think she's got great stuff that's really going to help you and start making you think. I know it does for me. So thank you so much, Maria,
You're
for being
welcome.
here, and thank you for the amazing your
Thank
work you're
you.
doing. And please keep up doing the great work. You're always welcome back here. You know that.
Awesome. Awesome. Love it.
All right, thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. You have yourself a great evening,
All
and
right, love you too.
you too, and I'll keep in touch. You know I
Okay.
will. Take
Ciao,
care, dear.
bellas.
All right, bye.
Bye.
Well, there we have it. That was such an amazing time and an amazing conversation. Thank you so much, Maria, for being here with me, for coming back on the show. I did have her on my radio show a few weeks ago, and we had a great conversation. As I was saying at the beginning, we covered a lot of these topics and some other ones. So if you're into radio, please go to Revolution Radio. Just go to freedomslips.com. And my show is every Monday from 6 p.m. till 8 p.m. And I'm in Studio A, and that's Eastern Standard Time. You can go to the archive section and listen to the show that I did with Maria. That's in the archive section, and along with all of my other shows. And we had a great conversation, and I just knew I had to get her here for a video interview because I think you guys are gonna, had really enjoyed it. I love her content. I love her energy. I love the way she approaches things, and so I had to get her on the show. And as I said, she's always welcome here. I hope to have her back in the future when she gets her book done, gets all three of the books put together. So I'm going to be going. I know I'm going to be messaging her right after this to get a signed copy for myself, and I will definitely read it and then let you guys know about it for sure. So I'm very excited about that. I'm looking forward to that, actually. I love reading. It's something I've always done. Really enjoy reading, and I think a lot. I tried to go the audiobook way, not the audio, but like with you read a book on a screen. I can't remember what they're called. I guess I came like a tablet form, and I didn't like it. I like the feel of a book, being able to sit on the couch or when I'm in bed and actually have a book in my hand and read it. I just like that. So I love books and love reading. So I'm definitely gonna be getting her book to read it for sure. Like that is definitely gonna happen. So thank you guys so much for being here. Let you know about the radio show. That's great. I also do a show with my co-host Cass, and we do it on her channel. So just look on YouTube for her channel. I will put a link in the description for her YouTube channel. It's just spelled CASS, Cass, and we do a show every Saturday evening, usually around 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Around that time, every Saturday, we cover a lot of great topics. We're starting to get the odd guest on. So if you like live, I'm venturing out into live. I usually like to pre-record. Not comfortable totally yet doing live, but I'm getting better. It's something wasn't even gonna look into, but started doing a live show with Cass. Really enjoying it. She covers great stuff. We cover a lot of great topics. So check us out on her channel every Saturday. As I said, every Saturday 9:30ish p.m. We usually go for about an hour and a half. and cover a lot of great topics. So hopefully we can, you can let us know what you're thinking in the comments section and have a little bit of a discussion. I think it's really cool. We just call it "What Have You Been Thinking?" So instead of my show I've been thinking, we just call it "What Have You Been Thinking?" And it's kind of cool to hear you guys in the great chat room, usually every week, where we, see what the chat room has to say and we interact with it. So that's something that you like. Check it out. I also want to go ahead and bring up quickly here that this September 10th and 11th is Convergence. And that is, you can go to freedomundernaturallaw.com and you can register. It's a free event. And many, many amazing speakers who are going to be talking about a lot of great topics. You can also go there you can also stands for funnel. And so this is funnel 2. And like I said, go freedomundernaturallaw.com and make sure you check out funnel 1 too, which is great stuff there. You can get there same way, and you can see all of the presentations that so many amazing people put together, covering some amazing stuff. And I just hope you guys take the time to check that out. I think you'll really enjoy it. So just remember, September 10th and 11th, guys. Great stuff going on there. So looking forward to that myself. And I just want to wrap up by thanking everybody for once again joining me. I appreciate each and every one of you. I love doing these interviews. I love meeting a lot of amazing people. And I just really thankful for each and every one of you. If you are enjoying these videos that I'm doing and these interviews, please hit the like and the subscribe and the share. And please hit notifications so that way you'll know every time I post another interview. I have many great interviews lined up in the next few weeks, so looking forward to those, and got some great people coming on. Going to be hitting on some really good topics. I think important topics that need to be talked about more. So I'm looking forward to that, and I hope you guys are too. Just, hit the notification, and that way you'll know every time I post. So thank you so much, guys, for being here. Take care. Take care of each other, and I'll be seeing you very shortly. Peace, guys.
Are you interested in the paranormal, murder mysteries, cryptocurrency, and thought-provoking interviews? Then check out Crypt Rick's I've Been Thinking on YouTube, or every Monday night at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Studio A at Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com. Welcome to the Crypt.